Karen T. Litfin is Associate Professor of Political Science at the University of Washington. She has written a book, Ecovillages, Lessons for Sustainable Community, available from politybooks.com. She recently visited A Place for Sustainable Living in Oakland, California, as part of an Ecovillage panel.
This organization is called Afifa. It's a network of 350 rural villages trying to live more sustainably, economically as well, so that all the young people are not leaving the villages. And there's much more I could say about that, but I felt that it was really important to visit villages in the global south that are aspiring to be eco-villages, because this is a model that could make it possible for traditional rural villages to actually be viable. At this moment, there's a mass exodus from those villages, and they're moving into cities where life is completely unsustainable, and there's very little economic opportunity for them there, although they're going with the expectation that there will be. So the challenge in the global south is sustainabilizing traditional rural villages. These people have stayed in their villages in order to promote sustainability, and one of the things they're doing is sesame farming. That's a nitrogen-fixing plant, and there's many other things that they're doing to promote ecological, social, and economic sustainability. Senegal is the first government to integrate eco-villages into its official development policy, and they have announced that the World Summit of Eco-Villages will be happening this year, which is pretty phenomenal, because this means that people from all over the world are going to be coming to Dakar, of all places, to talk about eco-villages. So this is big news. So I want to just show you some kind of experiments in natural building. This is in Auroville. I have to put that up there, but this is built with compressed earth bricks, pioneered by a machine that Auroville itself invented. And the roof is ferro concrete with painted white to reflect the sun's radiation. Ventilation at the top. Very low ecological footprint for this building. This is where I stayed. It's really comfortable. And they don't do it because they're primarily environmentalists. They do it because, for them, the integral yoga of Sri Aurobindo suggests that matter itself is a form of spirit, and so that there is actually no difference between matter and spirit ultimately. And so building with earth then becomes a way of bringing more consciousness into matter and into our own psyche at the same time.
Where was that?
That's Auroville in South India, sorry. Auroville in South India. How many of you have heard of Auroville? I'm just curious. There you go. It's a very well-known community focused on living the ideal of human unity. It's a complex place because they're doing this in rural South India, where it's mostly Europeans in Auroville, and they are living in the midst of about 40,000 rural villagers in Tamil Nadu who are living a pretty subsistence level lifestyle. So deep socioeconomic inequality amidst this vision of human unity. So it's kind of all in your face in Auroville. This is Lagoshwate in Sri Lanka. This is one of the 15,000 villages that Sarvodaya works with. Sarvodaya you may have learned about through the work of Joanna Macy. She's the first person who really popularized Sarvodaya's work in the U.S. of socially engaged Buddhism. And Sarvodaya means the awakening of all. And the second part of that is through the sharing of labor, Sarvodaya Shramadana. And this village was constructed in the aftermath of the tsunami there. And the villagers got together and decided they needed homes. And so through the sharing of their labor, they built the homes themselves. And they all learned, before any physical work happens in a Shramadana society, in a village, they learned through Sarvodaya the peace meditation. If you want to experience the peace meditation firsthand, I actually put it up as my first blog on our website, for the Other Books website. It's about 10 minutes, and so if you're ever just sitting around and you want like a 10-minute break to feel like you're in Sarvodia for 10 minutes, you can listen to that. Go ahead. One of my favorite themes in the book is low-tech, high-tech. So this is a web designer in rural South India in Auroville, and he's from Paris, and he's working from his home and office, which obviously has Wi-Fi. He's got a solar panel on the outside there, he's got a composting toilet, he's got an outdoor shower, an outdoor kitchen, a very small footprint, and all of his clients, he told me, believe he's in Paris. Another high-tech, low-tech, this is at Domin in the foothills of the Alps in northern Italy. And we can shift to the next one because you see where he's living. He's living in a tree house. And this is actually one of the communities, sub-communities within Domin. It's a community of about 30 sub-communities, total of close to 1,000 people, mostly Italian. And each sub-community is given to a particular kind of work. And so you decide what you feel called to. So maybe you feel called to dance and cultural expression. You'll find a nucleo or a sub-community that's devoted to that. This particular community is devoted to music of the plants or communicating with plants. And so this was actually where I did have the experience of communicating with a plant. You need to read the book about that, but it's I am persuaded 100% that it's possible, and not just for highly skilled, intuitive people, of which I'm not one of, but even for egg-headed professors such as myself. So it is possible to communicate with a plant and to know it, So this is, Domin is a spiritual community fundamentally, and although I shouldn't say fundamentally because it makes it sound fundamentalist, they integrate ecology, spirituality, community, and consciousness in a pretty seamless way. They have underground temples through which they believe they are communicating with the Earth's nervous system. They believe that the Earth is a living being and that we can tap into that through our own consciousness. So they dug these temples underground. You can go online and take a virtual tour of the temples at thetemples.org. They're pretty phenomenal. This is just one of their temples. There's a whole slew of them called the Temples of Humankind. I want to show you some photographs of some urban eco-villages, because even though most of the eco-villages in the global eco-village network are rural, I think that the urban ones are important because most of us live in cities. So this is UFA Fabrik in Berlin. They squatted the Universal Film Studios, and their focus is, they're a fairly secular community. I really tried to vary the kind of attitudes and worldviews of the communities that I visited. So this is a particularly secular community, and they believe that we can find a sense of human unity through music and art and performance, drama, through cultural expression. So they really specialize in that. This is Los Angeles Eco Village, and I felt that if you can do an eco village anywhere, in Los Angeles you can do it anywhere. And this is a traffic calming incident. They have worked with Mark Lakeman, some of you may be familiar with him, City Repair, yes, and he's kind of bringing eco-village ideas into traditional urban, conventional urban neighborhoods. And so this is a traffic calming incident event, and they really do a lot of bicycling. And this was where I got inspired to ride my bicycle. I actually had my bicycle, I even have my bicycle here in Berkeley. Kind of goes where I go if I have a car. I got inspired to ride my bicycle through downtown LA and East Hollywood and Hollywood for one full afternoon, and found out that LA could be bicycle heaven. And that reality is actually beginning to dawn on Angelenos themselves, which is really good news. So this is Eco Village at Ithaca in upstate New York. They pride themselves on being a middle-class eco-village, and they're really trying to show that you can live a comfortable American lifestyle without making giant, leaps into sustainability, such as maybe you see happening here. Their ecological footprint is about 2 Earths, 2 to 3 Earths. So it's not sustainable, but it's way better than the 6 Earth U.S. ecological footprint. I'm sorry, Ecovillage at Ithaca.
It's just called Ecovillage?
That's Ecovillage. They call themselves Ecovillage, believe it or not. So in the book I abbreviated it as EVI. Yes, Ecovillage at Ithaca. This is Sieben Linden in Germany. It's a really ecologically inspiring community. Probably the most inspiring community that I visited in terms of ecological experiments. They are a community that's trying to become 300 people. They're up to about 160 now. And one of the ways that they keep their ecological footprint way down is through vegan agriculture and through not using machinery for much of anything. So here they're using draft horses for their forestry, and they use the wood from the land, from the monoculture plantation that they inhabit, to build their homes, straw from their own land for straw bale, and then they are replenishing the deciduous forest with their own humanure, composted humanure. This is Svanholm in Denmark. It's a community that calls themselves allergic to spirituality. But one of the things that they're doing, they're a commune, so they do income sharing, and I talk a little bit about how secular communities can be, in my view, quite spiritual through softening the balance of ego, which I think they're doing. This is Auroville, again in South India. They planted 3 million trees, 2,000 residents from 43 different countries. Pretty amazing experiment. And finally, this is Konohana in Japan at the base of Mount Fuji, a farming community. And everybody in the community is involved in some way in growing food or preserving food or preparing food. They understand themselves to be there for a spiritual purpose. For them, farming is a spiritual practice. Oh, okay, perfect. So this last slide is, this was on the wall at Konohana, and I asked them, what is the meaning of this? And so they told me that they understand humanity right now to be basically like a baby. So I don't know if you can see it, but the baby here has the earth in its hands, and that we do have the earth in our hands. That's what it means, actually, that we have entered the Anthropocene. But in their view, we are like babies, and so we need to grow up. It can feel like a scary thing to think, my gosh, this bumbling species has the earth in its hands. What on earth? Literally, what on earth? But actually, they say that we can rest in an awareness that actually there's a larger force that holds us, and their work is about contacting that force. So I think we'll just call it quits for now, and thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry to have taken a little bit more time than was my own.